Every bassist starts the same way, playing the wrong string, rushing the beat, and wondering why the drummer looks annoyed. But where do you rank today? Let's count through the 7 levels of bass players and find out exactly where you fit. Level 1, the absolute beginner. Every bassist starts here. Holding the instrument correctly, placing both hands comfortably, and producing a clean note can feel surprisingly difficult. Beginners are learning the names of the 4 strings, E, A, D, and G. Remembering them is one thing. Hitting the right one on the first try is another. They're also learning how the fretting and plucking hands work together, while trying to keep unwanted string noise under control. If the metronome feels like it's personally calling out every mistake, welcome to level 1. Gear is usually simple at this stage. Most beginners use an affordable starter bass from brands like Squier, Yamaha, Ibanez, or Harley Benton, paired with a small practice amp or even a headphone amp. Many experienced bassists recommend buying a good used instrument instead of chasing expensive gear, because a properly set up budget bass can play remarkably well. Spending hours practicing will improve your playing far more than spending thousands on equipment. Live performances are uncommon. Most level 1 bassists are practicing in their bedroom, taking lessons, jamming with friends, or performing once in a while at a school talent show, church event, or beginner recital. The goal isn't to play the biggest stage yet. It's to develop a clean technique, steady timing, and good habits that every great bassist relies on later in their journey. Level 2, the novice. The novice stage is where the basics begin turning into real playing skills. A bassist at this level knows the note on the fretboard, can tune their instrument without googling which string is E, and no longer needs to think about every hand movement. Simple root note bass lines become more comfortable, while fingerstyle or pick techniques grows cleaner and more consistent. Muting also becomes part of everyday practice, although that one string still seems determined to join the song without being invited. Practice becomes more focused. A metronome is now part of the routine, helping build steadier timing and better control. Major and minor scales become familiar, and many players also begin learning major and minor pentatonic scales, which are widely recommended because they make it easier to outline chord changes and create simple musical bass lines. Players rely less on tabs, recognize more notes across the fretboard, and recover from small mistakes without bringing the whole song to a stop. Gear also starts to improve. The tiny practice amp may be replaced with a better combo amp, and accessories like a tuner, padded gig bag, quality strap, and spare cable become worthwhile investments. Some players even get their first professional setup, making the bass easier to play and helping it stay in tune. Outside the bedroom, this is often the stage of first real performances. Local pub gigs, church services, school concerts, open mics, or garage band rehearsals become common. They're probably not headlining festivals yet, but they're finally playing for people who aren't just the family dog. Level 3, the developing player. Bass playing starts making a lot more sense at this level. Players begin learning arpeggios, using the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th to outline chords and understand why certain notes work over specific harmonies. Major and minor scales become more useful, revealing patterns across the fretboard that make learning songs and building bass lines much easier. Many players also have that satisfying moment when they realize those scales they've been practicing finally have a real purpose. Bass lines become smoother as they learn to connect chords instead of jumping from one root note to the next. Simple improvisation also enters the picture, with stronger note choices replacing random guesses. They begin recognizing chord tones by ear and gain the confidence to create their own bass lines instead of copying every recording note for note. As rehearsals become more frequent, many players outgrow the small practice amp that served them well at home and move up to a larger combo amp that can keep up with the drummer. Some also experiment with different string brands or gauges, get their bass professionally set up, or buy their first tuner pedal. They start paying more attention to tone and quickly realize that a well-set-up instrument often makes a bigger difference than an expensive one. By now, local pub gigs, church services, community events, and small venues become much more common. Players also discovered that the audience rarely remembers the flashy fill, but everyone notices when the groove falls apart. That's the lesson that helps move them to the next level. Level 4, the competent bassist. As experience grows, many bassists start paying closer attention to their sound. They experiment with higher quality strings, discovering how round wounds, flat wounds, or different string gauges can completely change the feel and tone of the instrument. Some also invest in their first compressor, tuner, or overdrive pedal, learning that effects should complement the music rather than distract from it. They also begin to appreciate the value of a well-maintained bass, regular setups, and equipment they can trust on every rehearsal and gig. Confidence grows naturally because the fundamentals no longer demand constant attention. A competent bassist understands how to support a song from beginning to end, making thoughtful decisions about every note they play. They know when to keep a bass line simple, when a fill adds energy, and when leaving space makes the music stronger. They also discovered that the fastest player in the room isn't always the one getting called back for the next gig. Timing is dependable, and the groove stays consistent through entire songs. They listen carefully to the vocals, guitars, keyboards, and drums, adjusting their playing to fit the arrangement instead of competing for attention. Dynamics become another important skill, with subtle changes in touch helping shape the energy of a performance. Preparation also becomes second nature. They arrive knowing the material, bring dependable equipment, and earn the trust of bandmates through consistency. Whether recording or performing live, they help the entire band sound tighter, more balanced, and more professional. Level 5. The skilled musician. A skilled bassist has built enough experience to trust their ears as much as their hands. They know when a song needs a simple groove, when a short fill adds energy, and when leaving space makes the music stronger. Every decision has a purpose, whether it's the length of a note, the choice of a rhythm, or the way a phrase leads into the next section. Their equipment also begins reflecting the variety of music they play. Many own more than one bass, perhaps a precision for one gig, and a jazz bass or 5-string for another. Their pedal board becomes much more intentional, with tools like a compressor, tuner, DI box, or overdrive chosen to solve musical problems rather than simply collect effects. They also understand how different strings, pickup settings, and amplifier EQ affect their tone. Practice becomes more deliberate. Recording rehearsals, listening back, and fixing small details become part of the routine. Timing, dynamics, and consistency receive as much attention as learning new techniques. Performance opportunities also grow. Local festivals, theater productions, wedding bands, corporate events, and paid recording sessions become increasingly common. Playing with different musicians teaches adaptability and strengthens musical instincts. Other musicians enjoy working with players at this level because they're dependable, prepared, and easy to work with. Their consistency raises the standard of every rehearsal, recording session, and live performance. Level 6. The professional. A professional bassist has become someone that artists, producers, and musical directors trust without hesitation. They're expected to deliver high-quality performances, whether recording in the studio, touring, or stepping into a last-minute session. Learning songs quickly from charts, recordings, chord sheets, or verbal instructions becomes part of the job, and they can adapt to different genres with confidence. Their equipment is built for reliability as much as sound. Professional bassists often carry a backup bass, spare strings, quality cables, extra batteries, a dependable tuner, and other essentials, because equipment failure is never an excuse. Every piece of gear has a purpose, and everything is maintained so it performs consistently under pressure. Professionalism extends well beyond playing. They arrive early, know the material, communicate clearly, accept direction without ego, and stay calm when the plans change. Reputation becomes one of their greatest assets, leading to more work through recommendations than auditions. Many professionals build successful freelance careers by developing strong relationships with producers, engineers, artists, and fellow musicians. Legendary session bassists such as Pino Palladino, Nathan East, Leyland Sklar, Carol Kay, and Tony Levin earned their reputations through exceptional musicianship, versatility, and reliability, becoming first-call players for countless recordings and tours. Level 7. The Master. Very few bassists ever reach this level. Mastery is measured by lasting influence. These are the players who redefine what the instrument can do, introduce new techniques, shape musical styles, and inspire generations of musicians to rethink the role of the bass. Their ideas became part of the language of bass playing, studied by beginners, professionals, and teachers alike. What separates these musicians is a distinct musical identity. Their sound is more recognizable within just a few notes because every aspect of their playing, from touch and timing to tone and phrasing, reflects years of experience. They don't chase trends, they create them, leaving a mark that reaches far beyond their own recordings. Their influence often extends beyond music into the gear industry. As their reputation grows, manufacturers create signature basses, pickups, pedals, amplifiers, and strings inspired by their playing. The Fender Jaco Pastorius jazz bass, Paul McCartney's Hofner violin bass, Larry Graham's signature basses, and Thundercat's Ibanez signature model are all examples of how master bassists leave a lasting mark on the instruments themselves. James Jamerson transformed Motown with melodic, groove-driven bass lines. Jaco Pastorius revolutionized the fretless bass. Larry Graham pioneered slap bass, while Paul McCartney proved bass lines could be as memorable as the vocal melody. Bootsy Collins redefined funk with his unmistakable style, and Thundercat continues pushing the instrument into new territory. Their legacy lives on every time another bassist picks up the instrument and learns from their ideas.